Hey, what's up? How you doing? Finals are just around the corner, so we are currently in the thick of just all of the work that has to be done. I feel like once you hit midterms and then pass to the rest of the semester, it is just full-on work just constantly, and like all your professors are just like, here's all the work for the rest of the semester, have fun with it. There's a lot of it. But thankfully we're in the home stretch because finals are upon us, which is both good and bad. Means we're almost done, but it also means we've got a lot of work that has to be done. I have some tips and tactics and stuff for how to best prep, study, and all that good stuff for finals, whether that be tests, papers, whatever. Anything that you might have to do around finals time, I've got some tips for you. I've made other videos in the past, such as how to study for college, how to get a 4-point and that kind of stuff, but this is a little bit more tailored to specifically finals because I know finals time can be a little bit crazy. So this is sort of just tips and tactics for particularly finals time. First and foremost, I talk about scheduling a lot with my tips and stuff on how to study, and that is also similar with finals. When you just have in your head, you have 3 papers, 2 finals that are tests that you need to study for, a project in this class. All of these sort of abstract things in your head can stress you out because you just think of them in your head and you're not actually visualizing them very well, if that makes much sense. So putting all of what's in your head down onto paper can really help like lower your stress level a little bit because it actually helps you visualize it instead of just thinking you have all of this due and you don't know what you're gonna do because you just have so much stuff that has to be done. So scheduling out when you're gonna work on what, writing it down in a schedule or on your computer, really anywhere, just so that you have what you have to do on paper. This also helps you to make sure you're doing everything and you're not forgetting anything. My next tip is start on whatever is going to take you the longest ASAP. I know it can be pretty tempting to just start on what's due the soonest, but that's not necessarily the best way to go about it. Maybe if you have a take-home quiz due tomorrow and then you have a test on Friday, you're probably going to want to get the take-home test done out of the way since it's due so soon, as opposed to studying a lot for your test already when you have the quiz to worry about. I understand that, but a lot of times towards finals, things are not going to be due immediately after you get the assignment, so not procrastinating is kind of key. You'll usually have a decent amount of time to work on stuff towards finals because generally they are bigger projects that you're doing. So what I mean by get the things that are more time consuming out of the way first, maybe if you have an end of the year project that you've known about for a while, that's sort of your big grade at the end of the semester, you'll want to go ahead and start on that if you haven't already. Papers are also another thing. If you have like a 10-page paper or something that's gonna take you a good chunk of time, you'll definitely want to get started on that and not put it off to the last minute. Even if it's due later than something else, if it's going to take you longer, you just want to go ahead and get started on it. You don't have to get the big project or big paper finished. Just getting started on it, getting a little bit done is definitely going to help you in the long run. Getting stuff done like that and not putting it off to the last minute is also going to help with your stress levels and your procrastination, even if you just do a little bit. Just thinking about a project, like you know you have this 10-page paper due in your class in 3 weeks, it can be sort of daunting. You know you have this project due, you don't know how you're going to do it, you have no idea how you're going to squeeze 10 pages in about this really boring book that you had to read. Once you actually get started on it and you just make even a little bit of headway, it can really help you to see like, I can do this paper, it is possible, I've already started on it, I figured out sort of what I'm gonna write about. You know what I mean? So that way it's not just this idea in your head, you've actually sort of started it and you can get a grip on the fact that it's not the end of the world, the paper is not gonna be the death of you. Another reason you'll wanna go ahead and get started on those is because you wanna try to get finished with them before the last minute. You don't really want to finish a paper a couple hours before it's due because you want to be able to edit with fresh eyes. Same with projects. You don't want to be staying up the night before your paper is due and then trying to write it all at one time, because once you do that, you're probably not going to edit it at all if you are writing it right before it's due, because you're just trying to cram that sucker out, you're staying up all night, your head's not in a great place, you're hyped up on caffeine most likely, or you're just dying. And once you're done with it, you just want to be done. You do not want to edit at all because you've been staying up all night to do this, or you've just been working on it nonstop for 5 hours. You don't want to edit, you don't want to do anything anymore, you just want to turn it in and be done with it. And that's not a great attitude to have, especially when you're doing something like that really late at night or early in the morning, depending, because you're going to be pretty likely to make some typos or errors or something and you definitely want to edit. And also editing with fresh eyes is really the best way to edit. You don't want to do it right after you wrote the papers. And again, same with projects. I'm just using papers as sort of a broad example because you have so many papers in college. Basically just try to fight the little procrastination demon inside of you and get your work done at least a little bit before it's due. I'm sorry, I know the lighting probably just changed on you, but I'm doing this at sunset and so the sun is like in a weird situation right now. Sort of riding the coattails of this and also a little bit going back to the scheduling thing, you definitely want to make sure that you're scheduling what you're going to be working on in order of importance and due dates and all that kind of stuff. You know how I said like write down what you have to do so that way you don't miss anything? Also, you want to try to schedule it out a little bit of what to work on and when to work on it. Like I said, starting on your bigger projects soon, definitely you'll want to write out when to start on them. And you also want to do that with even your smaller projects that aren't going to take as long, or with studying for your tests that you have. So when it comes to finals time, say you don't have many projects, say most of your stuff is just tests that you have to go in and take in class. And that situation, you want to focus on what's most immediate. Say you have one final on Monday, 2 finals on Tuesday, no finals on Wednesday, and then 2 more finals on Thursday. That weekend before, you're definitely going to be studying for your finals, and you definitely want to be focusing on Monday's final. Sorry, I know the lighting is changing so much. The sun is not doing me any favors right now. So you want to definitely start out working on Mondays, and then Tuesdays, and then Thursdays, and so on and so forth. You know, like the basic stuff. But if you know your test on Thursday or one of your tests on Thursday is going to be very difficult for you and you definitely need to study a lot for it, go ahead and start studying early on, but definitely devote most of your time to what's happening soonest. That one's probably very basic, but just thought I'd throw it out there. Next tip is to take time to make flashcards. Now, if flashcards don't work for you, that might be one thing, but if you're not sure if they work for you or not, they could possibly, you've never tried them, I recommend, if you have the time, which hopefully you will, to try to make them, especially if you have like vocab type terms or really just anything that can work in a flashcard situation. Of course, you can check things like Quizlet and see if they have any sort of flashcards already made online, but if you can't find any that are tailored to what you need to know, definitely flashcards can be lifesavers. And I know it can be a pain in the butt to make them and that's why so many people don't. But I promise you if you do, they can really help you study. I remember I took the time to make 200 or 300 or some such amount of flashcards for one of my finals last semester. I could study really anywhere, even if I had to go somewhere, go to another class right before it, I could just pull out my flashcards and start quizzing myself, even just in little spare pockets of time where I normally wouldn't have had time to like pull out my book and start studying, you know what I mean? But if something doesn't really lend itself to flashcards, it might have more of a complicated answer that doesn't really work to just put on a flashcard, you can make yourself your own personalized test. And all you would have to do with that is to just either write out or type out questions for yourself on a piece of paper, and then on a different piece of paper, write out the answers, just make sure they're numbered accordingly. That way you can also quiz yourself by reading the question, answering it in your head, going over, checking the answer. You know, everyone's probably done this before. Yeah, you can definitely do that if you can't make flashcards. This is sort of not really helpful for actually studying, but remember if your test is on Scantron or you think it could possibly be on Scantron, to have Scantrons and have the proper one, or have a blue book, or just whatever testing material you might need, just remember to have it. It never fails that somebody in the class forgets it. You don't want to be that person, so just make sure you have the proper Scantron or blue book or testing material and a number 2 pencil. But of course only if your classes have Scantron tests. And if you're not sure, I would go ahead and ask the professor if it's going to be a Scantron test, or look in the syllabus, sometimes they say in there. And if your professor isn't getting back to you, it's not in the syllabus, no one in your class knows, or you haven't asked anyone in your class, it's never a bad idea to buy a Scantron or 2 just to have, just in case. Those are all of my tips that I have catered towards finals. If you're interested in more types of study tips, you can definitely check out my How to Study in College video. I have a bunch of different study tips in there, so if you want more tips, definitely go check that out and you will get more. Finals can be kind of stressful, I know, but once you get through it, it's Christmas time, so just focus on that while you're sitting in the library studying for 6 hours at a time. Once you make it out, Christmas is your reward. Again, I apologize that the lighting in this video has been crazy. I have lights on me, but the sun is setting right now and I'm in a room with a lot of windows, so it's sort of causing problems. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please give it a like. You can also subscribe to me if you want. I put out new videos every single Friday. You can also leave in the comments any types of videos that you want to see and I will make that for you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye guys.